Good evening from Copenhagen, Denmark, and welcome to a new name of this show. This is no longer Smarter Web Wednesdays. This is actually an entry. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. This is fourth the fourth episode of Smarter Webley Wednesdays. All thanks to you. Um, Welcome to the show. Welcome to the audience. Full disclaimer, I started with a tiny back, which is the whole reason why this show started. I wanted to discover more. People were pushing me like do that. And then Thursday, I kind of tripled down. Friday, I doubled down on my triple down. And today, I got a little bit more. Granted, my portfolio is very small compared to some of the screenshots I've seen. But here we are with the faster horse in the race, Mr. Andrew Webley himself. Good to see you again, Andrew, and thank you for being back. How's it going?
Yeah, it's pretty good actually at the moment. We've been pretty busy today. Every day is quite busy, but another good day, I think. Yeah, we've got a few more things that we need to get done today, and then we've got a very busy day in London tomorrow, which I'm quite looking forward to. So yeah, it's going okay.
It's going okay, as you say. Let me add further to that preface of where we are. We spoke 2 weeks ago when I was sitting in Prague, working at BDC Prague. Your the community size on X of SWC investors has grown 50%, and the Bitcoin on your balance sheet has grown 50%. 50%, Andrew, is a lot in 2 weeks. What is going on? What are you doing? How are you the faster horse?
Well, we're just sticking to the strategy really. So I haven't been on X much today because I've been so busy with various different tasks. But when I did look first thing today, it was almost at 3,000 people in the community, which is really cool. And you're right, the Bitcoin has grown. Last week, we did our biggest fundraise to date. Over £40 million in a couple of hours. That was quite cool. Especially as earlier in the week we had one single strategic investor who invested a smaller amount, but still a significant amount of money. So last week when you add the two figures together, you're talking somewhere around about £45 million, so a little bit more in fact. So we do have plenty of capital, and when we announced our Bitcoin buy earlier this week, we also started showing people the capital because I'm very keen that everyone can understand everything that we're doing, and that's in a small way what we're trying to get released later today as well, actually, which I think people will like. I hope they'll like it anyway. So what we decided to do is to start, when we announce our purchases, to very clearly approximate cash that we've got in our treasury for Bitcoin purchases. So we did that as well this week, which I think everyone liked seeing. So yeah, it's definitely heading in the right direction.
Yeah, it very much is. And wait, let me put it back on the other setting there, because you're touching upon something that I know, like some of my friends that also bought into SWC, because like I can't be quiet. I'll speak nicely. I can't be quiet if I see something that I think is good. Good for them, good for humanity, good for Bitcoin, and SWC is one of those things I do believe. And the question is that I'm getting is that so you raise capital, and then it that is sizable on your balance sheet, and it may take like a week or two or something for you guys to deploy that. And right here I have from the smartinvestmentguy.com, one of your community members, where he has shown, so people understand that the net asset value of your company not only is the Bitcoin but also the cash, because that's going to be deployed to Bitcoin. Do you want to attach any words to that? I think, ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna be a test, because Andrew just dropped off. I'm sorry, it's that Andrew is back.
I lost you.
You did. It felt like I lost you, Andrew, but anyways, here we are.
Yeah.
That was a
So,
very
so
quick reconnect. Go ahead.
yeah, well, I've got 3 internet connections actually, so I'm quite fortunate in that regard. So, I tend to sort of like change them as things change.
Fortunate.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, when we were looking there, the thing that I was looking when the screen went was if you add the cash that we've got and the Bitcoin that we've got within our treasury, it's quite it's well, everyone can see what it means, can't they?
Yeah, I guess so, and I think it's really good that that the cash that is going dollar, or well, not dollar for dollar, pound for pound into Bitcoin, of course, is accounted for in net asset values. And it is on this website. So and you are now communicating that clearly, transparently, which you have a history of in your press releases.
Yeah, it's just to give, the reason why we did it is I saw some figures before and they were a few £1 million lower than we have actually got.
Hmm.
And we worked really hard to raise the capital. And a lot of that capital is raised, with quite low rates of commission, none in some cases. So I wanted to try and share that as transparently as I could so that people realize that we are working really hard on getting really good capital on really good terms, because that's an important part of the model, and you've got to look at every little detail in the model for that model to be great as a whole. So that's why I wanted to share that figure. Um,
Absolutely. And I think that it gives investors more clarity. Let me bring this back in a second. It gives more knowledge about exactly where you are in the game plan. And if I may ask you the question, so when you raise funds, you don't buy immediately, same day or the next day. You spread it out over a week or two. Is that something you can explain to us, or?
yeah, so when we started, I felt that the right approach, and it had nothing to do with like trying to smooth out any figures or anything. It was literally what I thought the right approach was, and I still think it's the right approach for us. So I decided that we would deploy capital that was held in our treasury into Bitcoin in a short time period, but not all in one day. Um, so a short time period is probably around about 2 weeks in the context of what we're talking about. Um, so, it's very important to realize what our understanding and our ethos is that, I personally don't believe in the pound, the dollar, the euro, whatever. I believe in Bitcoin. And because of that, that's why the company has this treasury policy. So we're not saying that we want to hold, £10 million cash for the next 6 months or anything like that. That would be ridiculous, in my opinion. What we're saying is that we don't want to put it all in one day, because when you're a smaller company like us, you need to exercise a bit of caution with the volatility of the asset. Now, at the moment, Bitcoin isn't very volatile. It's probably got a vol of like 0.5% or something like that. So it's actually incredibly unvolatile at the moment. But things do happen, and when you're trying to build a business for the long term, the worst thing that could happen is you've allocated all your capital to Bitcoin and then it drops 20%, because the reality there is that it might be very difficult to raise money for a month and a half, 2 months, or something like that. So 2 weeks isn't a long time. It's not as quick as one day, obviously, but it's the approach that we've done from the outset, and it's an approach that I believe in longer term. As the treasury grows, that additional capital may go in much quicker, but at the moment we'll stick to the plan, which is working so far.
It's certainly working, Andrew, and that's why I personally invested more. And I guess what you're describing to me it essentially reduces downside to the stock if you don't pour in all the cash immediately, but you buy some and then you spread it out over 2 weeks, maybe, because if Bitcoin goes down and all the Bitcoin accumulating companies also move down, then and sometimes faster because of the way it's built up and you're paying a premium to the Bitcoin. But then if you have cash on hand to buy in at lower prices, it kind of reduces your downside. And if you have a high MNAV and the Bitcoin starts running up, it's kind of like a positive problem. So it's I mean, I personally I appreciate that. I think it makes sense for sure. If I can just here share quickly. So again, this is on the website, the smarterinvestmentguy.com. It's Bitcoin B 21 on X that is putting this website together. It is not live update. It's not real time. It is updated once daily. But if you're looking here at the white line is the MNAV. MNAV, I said, it's developed since you guys went online or went IPO, and then the orange is the price. So Thursday last week, it really got historically cheap. It was the cheapest multiple to net asset value since you guys went public, the first week after you went public. And that's why I added more of this. And it may be, you know, maybe it's wrong, but I think that these things will oscillate higher again. So
Well, I wanted to talk about that graph actually, funnily enough.
sorry.
I wanted to talk about that graph, funnily enough, because it's a really good way for people to see what we've been doing historically as a business, and then the opportunity. So, last week, I bought more shares as well on Thursday and Friday, all disclosed to the market as obviously you have to do as a director, and it was fascinating to see, really. After our biggest raise to date, which effectively lowers the MNAV overnight. So you would expect the price, all other things being equal, to actually move up, not down. And it was fascinating to see, actually. But I completely agree. When I was looking at my spreadsheet before I checked it on Nick's website, to see the line, and then Jesse, who works with us, shared some charts as well, which illustrate exactly the same thing. And you're right, it's basically, if you're interested in MNAV as a metric, which most of us are, it was looking as cheap as it's been for since the start, really.
Yeah. Since the market kind of realized what you were doing about 1 week in, it's the cheapest. So attractive, in my opinion, not financial advice.
Yeah, it's the same here. It's in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I obviously, believe in that opinion incredibly, because I own a lot of shares in the company, and it's very, very important to me. And I spent the best part of £100,000 on stock in the market last week because I thought it was a great opportunity. I actually said to my wife, we've got this cash in some of our accounts, and I can't actually think of a better company than our company. And it's just unfortunate that we've got a load of it anyway, because it doesn't spread the risk. But what can you do?
Yeah, what can you do? Because I guess you kind of know what's going on, and you're feeling comfortable with the management, Andrew.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I think they're doing okay.
They're doing okay. Good. So what is? I mean, so overall, it sheet. I personally, as an investor, I look at MNAV, which we just spoke about, and I also look at, well, how fast is the company accumulating more Bitcoin per share at the moment. Your days to cover is one of the fastest, and that's, I guess, why the community is calling you the faster horse in the race. Right now, I think it's around 30 days, maybe 39. I don't know, but
I'll tell you the thing that I look at as well, if you want, which is quite interesting, I think. So I look at all of those same things, but then I also think, what else is the management doing that can increase the exposure of the company, i.e., the liquidity? Because if you think about things like our, ATM style thing that we've got, the more liquidity you've got, the more beneficial that is to then grow the company further from there. So that's one of the reasons why I like Metaplanet so much. Their execution is unbelievable, and that's because they've got liquidity, and that's because they make sure that they are out and about in all the different places, to sort of to grow that. It's marketing, I suppose. It's communicating, showing the world that you exist. And that's one of the reasons why we do a lot of things like this week, we were able to tell people that we had the German line of stock to make it easier for European investors, and lots of these things. So tomorrow morning I'm going on the TV, for example, and that's all about reaching out to people that wouldn't know that these sorts of companies exist and things. So that's the thing that I look at alongside, because otherwise what you've got is you've got a position where those companies aren't growing, and if they're not growing in terms of marketing, then it's harder for them to maintain that growth in terms of capital, which is clearly quite an important part of the model.
No, absolutely. But also, Andrew, I actually regarding like raising capital and everything, where the ATM like thing at this point, or raising privately, is so crucial. In just this short time, you're available for investors on the London, well, not the London, but at Keith in UK, over the counter in US, where I'm buying through Fidelity. The stock ticker was spoken about earlier. I'll just throw that on the screen quickly. But now also you're in Frankfurt. So tell us what's going on in Germany. Sprechen Sie Deutsch oder nein?
Well, I'll say it in English because I can't actually speak much German. But it's all about just making the access easier for people that want to invest in the company. So we get emails all the time I get a lot from Asia, actually, which is one of my next tasks to sort out. The investors want to share the journey with us all. And so it's my job to try and make it easier for them to access the stock. And that really is the the reason behind the Frankfurt line that we've got, to make it easier for people across Europe. One of our institutional investors was very, very pleased when I told them that we had managed to get that completed so quickly as well. And it's just making it easier for people to get involved, really. And then from the company's point of view, that's just everything that adds to the liquidity. That's what it's all about.
So this happened was it yesterday?
Monday.
Or was it Monday? Monday. Okay. So you had 3 trading days in Germany, and what are you experiencing there?
Yeah, so I've been flat out today, so I haven't actually checked today, but I had a call from the people that set that up for us earlier today, and they confirmed my understanding, which was the second day was better than the first. I'm yet to check the third day, but it's a bit like in the US and in the UK, when a new stock becomes available, it does take a little bit of time for the various different brokers to switch it on. So I would say within, like the first week, then most of the platforms or many of the platforms would start to have it available. And then you've obviously got teething problems as well, for example, how they're setting the trades and things. So we've been working with them on that side of things, and looking at my emails this afternoon, I think that's all been sorted out as well, so that they can, they can make that market. Because that's the other thing that people don't necessarily see, and that's the work that we do with the various different market making fractions, in the different markets to allow them to have the confidence to make the markets, which then lowers the spreads, and therefore improves liquidity as well. So yeah, I think, next couple of days, and then it'll be bedded in a little bit, and then hopefully we'll see that improve, just like we've seen the volumes, sort of get slightly better in other territories.
Yeah. And where you are now with Bitcoin and cash, so you have, was it 750 Bitcoin? It's above 700, 740.
Over, yeah. It's
And,
about 770, I think, was the announcement.
okay.
Yeah, the announcement was, I have to make sure I say the right line here. 773.58 was the announcement. Total Bitcoin held.
So is this relatively correct that combined with cash that we know is going into Bitcoin, we're talking ballpark 1260? This is from the website, that top line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a ballpark to the extent you can say.
Yeah, it's ballpark accurate, which is good, because the line that we're very, very focused on right now is getting past 1,000, and it's, everyone knows that we're as good as past that line, and then if you think about it, 1250, let's call it, which I'm not saying is the number, but that's the number roughly that was on the screen. That's a quarter of the way to 2,000, or almost a quarter of the way to 2,100. Which is the next milestone. So it really is, it really is, going on a good trajectory.
It certainly is, Andrew. And so what you're telling us with Asia is that that would be the next market where you would try to get listed and be accessible for clients,
Yeah,
or
more
investors.
accessible. So you don't have to necessarily do a full listing.
Okay.
So we're exploring. I think all I'm allowed to say is we're exploring options to make it more accessible to investors in Asia, for example. And we'll continue to do that, because we're all about continuous improvement. And but yeah, I can't. I'm not at the stage, even if I was allowed to say it. I'm not at the stage where I could confidently promise someone that we can get access in a particular market. But we are making good progress on what we have to do on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to tell to the audience, well, first of all, thank you very much for watching. Appreciate you all. And Andrew, I know, has some tasks to take care of, and it's in all of our interest that instead of, as much as we want to watch Andrew, we first and foremost want him to be the fastest jockey on the fastest horse and actually get work done. So Andrew has more work to get done today. So we got 2 minutes left. So I want to ask you one question, and then whatever final thoughts you have, and just thank you again, Andrew, for being on. Hope we can do this again in 2 weeks' time or so. But so the question I'm thinking is, apart from all the financial things we're talking about and how you're accumulating at a very fast pace, what is the funnest part as a person to be part of this? Because so many things is happening in your life now, personally, professionally. Like, what is the unexpected, like, coolest thing or nice thing that you experience? Is it a sense of purpose? Is it, what?
I think the thing that I wasn't expecting with all of this was the nice messages that I've had from people where they've taken the decision to invest in our stock, and then that's had a very positive consequence on their life. They've taken the risk at the end of the day. To do that, I've just done my job. That's all. But I wasn't expecting that side of things, and that's been, amazing to see that side of things. Because we're on this mission to build a very, very big company and to do everything that everyone knows about. And we need everyone's support, and we want everyone's support. But then that wasn't the focus. The focus was to have something that I could invest in, that other people could invest in. But I never really thought about what that meant, in terms of, someone getting enough money to go on a holiday, or to buy a new car, or to pay their mortgage off, or anything like that. I I never actually thought about that side of things, and it's really cool to see that. Really, really cool.
I can only imagine. Thank you so much for that, Andrew. We all want to let you actually go back and jockey that fastest horse. Is there anything you want to add, or just again, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you again in 2 weeks if you're down for that. But anything you want to add before we go?
Yeah, just to apologise that I've got to dash off, because we've got a bit more work that we need to get done today. It's something that I want to get live on our website today. I don't want it to be a tomorrow job. So I'm currently incredibly focused on that. It's almost there. There's just one little bit of it that needs to be done, and I have to check that. And then I think tomorrow should be quite an interesting day. I think some people are coming to this event in the afternoon in London, so I hope to meet some people there. And we'll just do our best to keep on doing what we're doing. And next time in, let's say, 2 weeks, we'll try and make it the full hour, because I feel that I've cheated you a little bit of the time here, but I'm grateful that you understand.
Andrew, I want you to just win the race, so by all means, but I appreciate the time, and I want you to associate coming on Smarter Webley Wednesdays, which is kind of tailor-made to you, a positive thing. So it's all good. Thank you so much, and I wish I could be there tomorrow in London. Honestly, I was in Vegas. I didn't meet you, but I have Alexander Lessay from the blockchain group on tomorrow for anyone who's interested in that. That will be 6 p.m. I think similar time, actually. Yeah. Anyways, it's tomorrow on this channel. Andrew, thank you so much, and go knock it out the ballpark. Thank you.
See you soon.
All right. Cheers. Bye.